everybody, welcome back to my channel and to another Cricut video. Today we're going to be using this crate which one of my customers has brought into me to decorate for her. It is going to be a Father's Day project, but you can use the same method of decoration that I'm going to use today for any kind of occasion. So let's jump straight into what we've got to do with this crate and then the designing of the project. This is the crate that my customer brought into me, and as you can see it's not all that big. It measures about 20 centimeters square, and what she wants me to do is put something on the front of this crate for Father's Day, but it must incorporate trains. So I've been having a think about what to do for the best, and she had absolutely no idea what she wanted, just that it has to say Grandad, potentially Happy Father's Day, and then a train design as well. So I've had a look at Cricut Design Space, and I'm going to go through a couple of the different things that I've looked at with you now. So these are the two designs that I have put together in Cricut Design Space using two different trains that I've found in the images files. I'm just going to show you what they are right now. So if I just go to that particular train, I right click onto that image and then come down to the bottom here, you'll see it says image info, and there you can see that particular train just there. And then the other one, I'll do the same again, image info. If I click on it, it takes me to that particular train, so I could insert it again for another project or just reuse it again for this one. The one that my customer has chosen is this design here on the left, but I do need to make a couple of changes to it because she doesn't want it to say Happy Father's Day anymore. She just wants it to say Grandad. So I'm going to just select this one and hide it. And what I've done to put this design together is I've used a couple of different elements. So I've got the train, I've got a couple of offsets that I've put on there. I've contoured out these windows as well so that they are completely black, because when I put the offset on, the offset came up with those as a as an open window, and I didn't want that sort of look to be on here. And then I just typed in Happy Father's Day and Grandad. Happy Father's Day is a completely separate piece. You'll be able to see that on here. That's this one. So if I just use this little eye icon here, click on that, that will disappear completely. And then I've got Grandad in the steam at the top, and they are all individual letters. So all I did was go onto my text box here, and I'm going to change my font to the one I used, and it's American typewriter. There. And then I'll just start to type Grandad like I have. And what I did was keep it all in capitals so that it's a nice bold statement across the top of the train. Then once I've got the Grandad on the screen, I just changed that to black and then came over to the right hand side, making sure that that is selected. I clicked on ungroup. Now all my letters are individual, so that allows me to place them wherever I want them to be in the steam of my steam train. So that's a really easy way of doing that, and you can see here that I'll just do it for you. You could make one letter bigger if you wanted, or you could make it so that it's got an offset on there if you wanted to do that, but this is how I've done it for this particular one. So let's just get rid of those because we don't need them now. So what I'm going to do now is make sure everything is grouped together and ready for cutting out. What I'm going to do is just ungroup everything first of all, because I just want to make sure this Grandad here is welded. Let's just weld that. That becomes one layer then at the top, and then that's going to be perfect, because if I'd have just gone through to make it with that unwelded, I would have had all the letters all jumbled up and I would have had to have rearranged them. And I'm thinking with this design what I'm going to do is use this in vinyl rather than card, because then I'll be able to stick that onto there quite easily rather than trying to do it in card and mess about with it that way. So let's just group all that back together now, and we're just going to need to size this up. So if I go back now to my crate, right. So this is my crate. It measures about 20 centimetres across. Obviously I don't want to go all the way across with my train. I'm thinking maybe just sort of this section here, which I think is going to be about 10 centimetres there or thereabouts. So that is right, and currently my train is 21.2 centimetres, so I just need to adjust that on my screen. So if I go back to Cricut Design Space now, so I'm on the screen now here with my train design, and as I said, it needs to be about 10 centimetres in width. So the easiest way to do this is to come up the top here and just change the width there to 10 centimetres and just hit enter, and then that will change the proportions of the design accordingly. If I were to unlock my padlock here and start moving the sizing around, it's going to make my train look completely out of proportion. So now that is 10 centimetres across and 7.044 centimetres in depth, which is going to be just about perfect for the size of my crate here. So let's go through to make it now. And as you can see, it has made my Grandad and my black offset layer on the same mat, and I don't want that to happen. So let's cancel that out first of all. Grandad layer, which is this one here, and I'm going to just change that and make it red. I'm only changing the colour of my Grandad so that it cuts on a different mat. So let's go through to make it again. Now I should have 3 mats, and I have a black one, a red one and a yellow one. The yellow one is going to be gold glitter, and then the black one is just going to be black standard premium cardstock. Probably going to be using a Hobbycraft one for that. And I'm planning on just using some scrap paper and card for this, so hopefully I'll be able to get it out of my scraps box and bits that are left over. So I've just got a light grip mat here today. I've got a piece of Hobbycraft paper that has been left over from when I made the pop-up Father's Day card. I will link that video above for you if you haven't seen it. It's a lovely video showing how to make a pop-up card from Cricut Design Space. So that's on there. I'm just going to give it a little bray as well, just to make sure it's nicely stuck, because we don't want any dragging to happen. Then I'm just going to go through to continue. And I'm using my second Cricut Maker today. I am going to choose medium cardstock for this, and then I'm going to pop that into the machine and cut it out. While that's cutting, I'm going to get my vinyl prepared for the next mat, and this is Oracle 651. As I said, I'm not going to need very much of it, so I'm just going to take off this piece of masking tape that's holding that shut. This is a big roll of 651. I've got 5 meters here. This was from MDP Supplies, and I'll link all that down below for you so you can see where I got it from. I'm just going to cut a small piece off of here. It doesn't need to be very big. And I love 651 because it has a grid on the back of it. Can you see that? And it just makes it really easy to measure without having to actually measure. So let's just pop that masking tape back on there. That vinyl is ready to go onto this mat now. This train offset has cut beautifully. Let's just take that off there. Make sure we get all those little bits off as well, so we haven't got any bits on the mat that are going to stop our cut from working perfectly. So let's just pop that into the top left hand corner. This is really important to give it a good bray down and stick it nicely to the mat. On the screen, of course, I have medium cardstock selected for my material, and obviously we're not using that now. We're going to be using a premium outdoor vinyl, so I have that setting already as a favourite, but if you don't, go into Browse All Materials and just type in premium vinyl into the box, and then it will come up for you and you'll be able to use that as well. So let's click on premium outdoor vinyl. These letters are going to be pretty small, so it's going to be interesting to see how the machine copes. If it doesn't work, we will have to rethink our design a little bit. So, alright, unfortunately the N hasn't cut properly. All the others have, just that N for some reason has caught. So I'm going to just take that off, and I'll take this piece of vinyl off of here, and I'll just recut an N excuse me, I'll just recut an N on its own and just see how that goes. Then I've got a piece of this glittery cardstock that I use all the time for everything. I'm going to give that a good bray down as well, and that'll just allow me now to just pop this one in, and then I can just turn it round to cut that vinyl again. Let's change the setting back to glitter cardstock and pop that in the machine, and off we go. So after a couple of failed attempts, as you can see, that N just was not cutting as part of the whole word of Grandad. So I've cut it separately as just one letter on its own, and it seems to be okay. So I'm just going to take that off there, and what I have to do is when I put that down is just use transfer tape for the rest of it, but then I'll just manually place that in there. And then I've got my train that is cut here with the glitter. What I'm going to do is try and take away the outer pieces of the train, leaving the pieces that I actually want to use on my mat. Now you might be wondering why I'm going to do that, and it's because I'm going to use some transfer tape to transfer this from my mat onto my offset so that I get it in the absolutely perfect optimum place where it should be. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. So you can either use a piece of transfer tape that you've taken the sticky off by putting it onto your jeans or your clothes, or you can just use a piece of lower tack transfer paper, and that is what I use. So this is what I use. It's like a masking tape. I mean, you could even use masking tape if you wanted to, but I have a couple of massive rolls of this, and this is what I use all the time for balloons and other delicate projects. So this is a piece that's actually been used previously to do a balloon. So I'm just going to cut a piece off of here. Let's just pop that down on there. I'm just going to grab my True Control knife just to cut that off there. Just giving that a really good press down with my fingers. I'm not using any tools on that one. And then what I'm going to do is flip my mat over, and I'm just going to get all of that to stay in as much of the same place as I can. It's not as sticky as I'd like it to be, but it doesn't matter too much because the pieces that I want to stay are staying. The wheels have still stayed stuck to the mat, but that's okay because I can place those manually myself. Right, then I'm going to glue the back of my train. So I'm using the Collal glue again. This is a all-purpose glue, and I've just put it into one of my needle-nosed bottles. All this will be linked down below for you. I've actually just restocked this with a litre bottle of it because I get through quite a lot of it, and I really love this glue. Let's just pop some on here. What I'm going to do now is just get my offset, and I'm just going to pop that on there like that. Once that's on, just turn it over. It looks pretty good from what I can see. Let's just peel that backing paper off. There we go. So that has applied that piece of glitter cardstock exactly where I wanted it to be on that train, and it looks pretty good if you ask me. Now all I've got to do is get my wheels on. Of course they stayed stuck to my mat, so I've got 4 little wheels. If you've got some tweezers you could use those, or if you feel confident enough to place smaller pieces yourself, then do that. Okay, now I'm going to get my Grandad. Where's my N? There's my N. So let's just snip that N off there. A little tip for when you're storing scraps like this. This is like the tiniest piece of 651 that you could probably save, but you can see that I've used a small piece for this N, so I might use these again. So what I'm going to do is just write 651 on the back of them. I've done it there in a little pen, but just so that we can see it. So it's got 651 on the back of it in Sharpie. Now I know when I go to put this in my little scraps box that that's Oracle 651, and I'm not going to get it mixed up with one that's removable or non-permanent. So that is a good little idea. Right, let's just weed these away. Love Oracle 651 for the way that it weeds with small letters. Just look at that, it's come off absolutely perfectly for those letters. Obviously I'm missing the N, but we're going to sort that out in just a moment. Get rid of the centres of these. There we go. So that is going to go now onto this steam area here. So we could actually place all this manually, and I think that's what I'm going to do rather than trying to get it onto a transfer tape and then back off again. So I'm just going to go back on my screen. I'm going to refer to my train just so that I can see roughly where I've put each of these letters. I'm just taking them off with my tweezers there, as you can see. Move the mouse out of the way and just take them off one by one. And just pop them onto there. Give them a nice press down as you go. Time for the infamous N to go on. I don't know why this wouldn't cut. It's very strange when the rest of the letters have cut so nicely. Okay, so that is done. That looks absolutely fab and looks just like the design that we did on the computer. I'm thinking I'm going to put one more layer of offset on here just to make it a little bit bigger so that when it goes onto the crate it looks a little bit more impactful. It's a nice size, but I do think it might need to be a tiny bit bigger. So let's go back to the computer and just do that, and then I'll glue that on when it's done. Alright, so I've just cut another black offset layer just out of another piece of black card, and it's just to make it that little bit bigger so it gives it a little bit more of an impact. I think what I'm going to use instead of just gluing this together is make it 3D and put some 3D foam pads onto this just to glue it together rather than using glue. So I've just got some little foamy pads here, so I'm just going to put a few of these onto the back of this. The idea was that they're going to be able to take this train off of the little crate and they'll be able to reuse it for something in their home for storage. So we just wanted to make it so that it's not too sort of over the top, but it's still a nice keepsake for Grandad. So let's just take these backs off the foam pads. You can see that that glue has dried absolutely perfectly now, and it's only been really about 5 minutes or so, and it's absolutely stuck down and will not budge at all, so I'm pleased with that as well. I know it's going to withstand being transported back to the shop and then having the hamper made that's going to go with all of this. Let's pop that on there nicely. And I think that just really finishes that off with the 3D effect on there. Now I'm going to just grab some nice little piece of ribbon. I'm going to pop that onto the back, and then we're going to fix this onto our crate. So to fix this, I've just got a piece of card and I've got my ribbon here. This is just a 4mm satin ribbon piece that I've got here, and I'm just going to pop that along the centre there of my train. Then I'm going to grab a bit of my glue. Okay, so I've just got my ribbon and I've popped it on there. I'm just in the process of putting some glue up and down my ribbon and over the back of the train, and then I've got a piece of just normal card, the same as what I've made the offsets out of. I'm just going to pop that on the back of there, just give it a little press down, and then that now is going to be how we attach our train keepsake onto the crate. So I'm just going to give that a couple of minutes to dry, Okay, so that's nicely dry now. Here's my crate, and what I'm aiming to do is get the ribbons through these 2 holes. So I'm just going to pop them into there like that, and then just grab them from behind, just pull that on, and then I'm just going to turn that over. You can see how that is in the perfect spot at the back of there. I can't tie a bow so that you can see it, unfortunately. So there we go, I'm just going to tie that on. There we go, and there is our train on there, all ready to go. So that's now all done and ready for my customer to fill up with whatever she wants to. So that's it then, guys, all finished. The hamper is now ready to be made up. I'm going to link my customer's business down below for you. Her name is Rajneet and she runs Starlight Hampers. We do work together on quite a few different projects. So I really hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you have, I'd love to see you again for another. So don't forget to subscribe. Drop me any questions or comments that you've got down below, and I'll see you soon for the next one. Bye!